Tire
Flat
Company.
Tire.
Yeah.
Flat Tire Company.
Flat Tire Company, huh?
Followed by Biker Baker. Who's that guy? Ryan
Yeah.
Egan and two others. Who else follows you?
We should block him.
Jason Matok
Yep.
Matok
Sure enough.
Ma-
Matt Talk.
Matak.
Matic.
Not
Matlock.
not Maton like the
Not
ship.
Matlock.
I think
Yeah, Matak.
Matok is what I'm probably gonna go with. Jason Matok. All right, I follow you now on Instagram. So
Cool. I tried
Now
sending
maybe turn up
stuff
your volume just a little bit.
turn
You
it
sound
turn
a
it
little
down.
soft there.
to
Yeah.
me.
Just turn it up a little bit.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
Yeah.
Is that a little
Yeah.
bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good.
People don't want to hear me anyways, so I don't know why you're telling me to turn it up.
Now, why are you telling that guy to we don't want his microphone.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason, yeah, what's up, man? I
Oh, we're live.
on YouTube.
So
Yeah.
I thought you were going to count me in. I was going.
No, we're live,
Welcome
man.
back to Mixed Surfaces Podcast YouTube channel here, where three guys talk about bikes. Oh no,
Three
what's gonna happen
amigos.
now? Three amigos.
Yeah.
It's about the same quality too. As
Yeah.
far as content and Three Amigos.
We've got a guest here, Rhea. Who's this guest?
We got Pete. Pete, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Matos, but it's really Marcondonatos. But on Ellis Island, they shortened it to Matos. Shortened.
Oh, they didn't know what they ran out of paper on that book they were writing, huh?
exactly.
Yeah, we got Pete from O-LIV, O-L-I-V. And we're going to talk about today about his company's product. That Pete, I'll let you get into in depth. I don't want to butcher anything scientifically.
Yeah.
But we're here to learn from you and our viewers. Whatever you want to share about your products and its benefits and how you even got into this. So
O-LIV is olive oil, right?
Sure, it's olive oil, but it's also an olive oil supplement. So I like to ride bikes. I'll tell you what kind of bikes I have. I got a light speed, Specialized Diverge. I've got fat tire bike, a mountain bike, 2 road bikes, lots of bikes.
Nice.
I like to bike, and I've got my shirts, Psychopath. I like
Yeah.
There we go. So I'm a physician by trade. Military trained at Walter Reed and at Johns Hopkins.
Wow.
Done a lot of work with military, obviously. And then when I got out of the military, a friend from Boston, one of the universities there, he did a study with Boston Fire and Indianapolis Fire, basically called Feeding America's Bravest. You can Google it. Yeah, Feeding America's Bravest and Firefighters. You'll pull it up. It's the university's Harvard. So if you pull it up, you can see it. And what the study was they tried to get folks to switch kind of to a Mediterranean diet and lifestyle. And so the number one thing that we ask people to do is to switch from butter to olive oil. And so I've been doing that.
Sorry, I'm out.
You're out.
I'm out.
You got to have your butter. 100%.
Graham is from the South. That's the only ingredient in everything.
Yeah.
They've been put in their coffee.
Yeah, I'll just walk away for a little bit and I'll come back after the hard part's over.
That makes sense. And so, I've been doing that. I got my Costco olive oil, which if you go back 7 years, it would say product of Greece. Now the Costco olive oil, it's a blend of Spanish, Italian, and Greek olive oil. So kind of sticking with that blending, a lot of olive oils are blended. So what happened was I'm at this conference in Crete, in Greece. It's Mediterranean Diet and Lifestyle Conference. And these researchers from the University of Athens show this picture of, basically a grocery store in the US. And they said, how many of you doctors think that at least 10% of what's on the shelf can meet, the European health claim of, high polyphenolic olive oil? So everybody raised their hand. The answer was none of them met the claim. So I was like, then I asked the question, I said, so if it can't meet the claim, what's the issue? And they said, well, a lot of the products are cut, and some of them say they're extra virgin olive oil, and they're not. And so the poor man's way, the simplest way to tell if you've got good olive oil is when you taste it, you should cough. You should get like a hit in the back of your throat. Does that make sense? So there's a place called it's a nonprofit with the University of Athens in Greece called the World Olive Oil Center, and people can voluntarily send their products. They basically send their their olive oil to them, and they can test it and they'll certify it. Now that you talk to some Italians or some Greeks, they're like, I know my olive oil is good. I don't need them to test it, which is true. So the point of that is try to be discerning in what you buy. You've got it's a lot of issues. Like I'm trying to think, there's in Iowa City, there used to be an olive oil store. None of those olive oils meet the standard. Like you can just tell by the way they taste and the way they look. So there's olive oil for taste, and then there's olive oil for kind of what I say health and taste. I grew up always getting olive oil from, my dad was a Greek Orthodox priest, so we always had olive oil. Somebody was going to Greece, and so the olive oil we had was always high quality. But I didn't realize how high quality it was until I, grew up, became a doctor, and realized, okay, wow, like the availability of the quality olive oil isn't so straightforward. And if that's what I wanted my patients to get, how do I help them? So I tried getting them to, get olive oil that was listed on, the World Olive Oil Center site. And then a lot of them, couldn't take it. They said, Doc, this is too strong. Get me a pill. And I'm like, I do not want to get you a pill. But I reluctantly got a pill because they had done some studies at the University of Athens. And so it's basically the supplement is super concentrated polyphenols. So it's basically the equivalent of 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of high phenolic olive oil, right?
Can I ask a question real quick? Just for like the dumb people like me out there. So just to break it down, what is the benefit of phenols? Like we talk about Mediterranean diet and you talk about like, I know there's like longevity. They live to be like 140 years old or something like that. I don't know how they do it.
Right, but yes.
Drinking wine and eating olive oil. But yeah, so like explain to me, and I'm doing this for the audience, not for me, guys. I know already, but for our audience, explain to me, for our audience, why like phenols help, and like what's the benefit in your like day-to-day life, and maybe with like, endurance sports in this context.
It makes you ride faster, obviously.
Yeah. Well, so phenols are what we're going to call, they're natural antioxidants. So if you think about it, your body has inflammation. So when we work out hard, we have inflammation. And the root of pretty much all disease is some inflammation, no matter what it is. Heart disease, kidney disease, inflammation, nothing good happens with chronic inflammation. And so polyphenols, which are in olive oils, are among the best, what we call basically scavengers. They tamp down on inflammation. So think of polyphenols. The simplistic way to think of it is it's almost like nature's natural ibuprofen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can also get polyphenols from Uruguayan wine. Actually has the highest polyphenols. They've been tested. For whatever reason, the species that they have down there of trees, they produce the highest in the world. The Greek olive oil, also there's 2 species, and I'm going to try, it's Kunaiki, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head right now, but that particular species has to be grown in such a way that you limit the water supply, and the high phenolic olive oil comes from early in the season. You're going to get that beginning of September to October, and then as you go further down, the phenol content goes down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So phenols, nature's ibuprofen, helping with recovery is basically what we're looking at, right? Recovery supplement here.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. What other benefits does it have? Like, I mean, is it just recovery, or go ahead, Aria? Sorry.
No, that's what I was going to ask. So in that process of, sports, is the inflammation helping, the muscles recover faster, or what's the process there? Like, I guess the scientific process.
And how do you know? How do you know you're inflamed? Because I feel like I'm sore every day. Is that just old age, or
Just look in the mirror.
I'm with
Just look in
you.
the
I'm
mirror,
with
Jason.
you. I mean, as we get older, I think inflammation, that's part of aging, right? And so I've been taking, basically the equivalent of, 2 tablespoons of high phenolic olive oil every day for about 3 years. The benefits are the inflammation part. So, less joint pain, faster recovery. So I definitely notice, at least for me, and I know Zoran, one of my other biking buddies, we race with U.S. military endurance sports, and we'll take 2 or 3 before a race, and then we'll take like 4 after, and we definitely have noticed the difference. But that's also, we have a good Mediterranean diet, so we do all those other things. So you're trying to, gain a little bit of advantage, so to speak, to increase
Micro gains.
Right, exactly. So, basically, it's kind of you can add it to your supplement regimen as almost like a natural anti-inflammatory. It also has other benefits. If you go to the website, I've tried to chronicle about 100. I've only through 40 scientific articles, so you can read them. But it also has health effects on blood lipids. So I think there's a testimonial on the website. Again, these are not FDA verified. There's not been a official clinical trial or anything like that. But from what the medical literature shows is that basically high phenolic olive oil helps with cholesterol. It also has, going back to that anti-inflammation effect, right? It can help with certain types of blood cancers. Like there have been some in vitro, meaning like Petri dish studies and in mice and things. There are actually some clinical trials are going to be starting in Europe at some point in the next year, I believe. But there's tons of health benefits, too many to list, because to me, it almost sounds like snake oil, but it's not.
Olive oil.
Does that make sense? So it's more of, there's lots of health benefits to it. And that's why I think the simplest way is to just call it nature's, basically ibuprofen. The interesting thing is when you go to the World Olive Oil Center, it's this little small place. It's not like some big center. This is Greece. They don't have a lot of funds. When you walk in, they've got a quote from Hippocrates in Greek, and the first use of olive oil or olive leaf, that's the other one, olive leaf actually has a lot of polyphenols too. That was used to treat headaches. So it's kind of interesting, right? And what we know is the polyphenols cross the blood-brain barrier. And so they've done studies. So in theory, it could, being former military, my question is, could you use this for, you have a blast injury, traumatic brain injury, right? Could you give this prophylactically if you're possibly going to get into kinetic activity or combat? So basically, it has a lot of different possibilities. So I'm kind of coming out of it from kind of the doctor's side, but also I don't want to just sell a supplement. I want to try to build a community, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want everyone to say, hey, take this pill and it's going to solve all your problems. That is not the case. Hey, consider adding this to your, supplement regimen. See if it helps you. And trying to be a source, I think, of scientific information, I think, for people. That's kind of the way I'm viewing this. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Questions?
What's a recommended like dosage a day for olive oil? Like if you're just gonna eat olive oil, like I do.
Right. Yeah.
My eggs in the morning are olive oil. We cook a lot of olive oil. We're really close to a Mediterranean diet.
Jason, where are you getting your olive oil from, though? That's a quick. Actually, I was listening to the podcast.
You got
I'm
High
not
Phenolic. olive oil.
There's a lot of knockoffs in the olive oil world. It's a crazy empire that I never knew existed. But I was listening to podcasts about like the majority. You can even go to these 5-star restaurants and they're using knockoff olive oils that have been diluted and stuff. Like Jess was saying, let's say I go into a store and I want to get the purest olive oil to help with my Mediterranean diet. How do I identify that in its store?
It's really hard. So one of the things you're talking about restaurants. So the University of Cal Davis, they actually had a guy who managed their olive groves. They have their own. It's Cal Berkeley. Sorry, they have their own olive groves, and they try to figure out like could they take the same species of tree that's in Greece and try to get high phenolic? The answer is yes, but it was labor intensive and people didn't like the taste. And actually what you're talking about is people don't like the taste of the strong phenolic olive oil, so they cut it for flavor. Does that make sense? And so a lot of them are cut for people to use the olive oil so it tastes good.
Is that bad or good?
It's bad because when it gets cut, then you lose all the phenols and you lose those health effects. And in fact, depending on what seed oil it might be cut with, the byproducts of that seed oil, and you'll like this, possibly worse than even using butter.
So what do they have to cut? What do they have to cut it with? Like you just can't cut it with water or anything, right? It's got to be because oil and water.
Sunflower oil, various vegetable oils, you name it. So the Italians are notorious for it. So little tidbit, and I know this because I was at a Greek olive growers meeting back in February in Thessaloniki, and what I learned was 40% of all of the olive oil produced in the Kalamata region goes to Italy, which is crazy to me. 40%, and like they produce, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but they're one of the major, obviously Kalamata olives, right? That's where they produce a lot of it. But the Italians kind of have depending where you are, Italy's a big country compared to Greece, so there's different traditions. And in the south, like if you look at blue zones, Sardinia is kind of similar to Greece. One of the things when they looked at Sardinia was they cook everything in olive oil, and in Icaria they cook everything in olive oil too. And when they went back and did some studies on their olive oils, they're polyphenolic. But the blue zone guys had never looked at it. They talked about that's the other thing. The wines from the island of Icaria, Greece, which is a blue zone. Those are also their wine is made the same way it was, the way they explain it, to quote the blue zones, it's made the same way as at the time of Christ. So you're going back 2,000 some odd years. Those are also high polyphenolic also. So the answer
you can drink as much wine as you want then.
Theoretically, actually, they're
there we go.
If you watch, I think if there's a Blue Zone documentary on Netflix, it's fun. I actually know those guys. They're twins. They're Nick and Dan. And they did not. I was at a conference and I met Nick and I was talking with him. It was a food conference out in Boston or University of Massachusetts, and I'm chatting with him and I'm asking. I'm like, "Hey, do you guys know about high polyphenolic olive oil?" And he says, "I don't know anything." So my friend who was running the conference, who's a Greek doc from Boston, he's like, "Get this guy to come to my conference and teach him everything you know about high phenolic olive oil." Yeah. So I did, and he came and he gave a talk, and then he said he wanted to bike with me. Well, if you've been to Greece, it's 80% mountainous. So he was like, "Do you want to climb?" And Graham knows I'm a climber. I mean, I probably spend, like 3 months out of the year, I work from Greece and I do a lot of climbing. And so he came and he said, "Well, let's do a climb." And I'm like, "Okay, the climb's 2,400 feet and 10 miles. And we were going to do 20 miles. And I said,
"That's a lot."
So we put him on an e-bike And the guy that I know that has the bike shop, his name is Vangelis. He's the guy's 60. He kicks my butt all the time. He's a former Greek national champion. He was in the Olympics in like 94 or 96. So I'm going up this hill. Nick's on his, he's got an electric bike, and I'm like dying, putting out like 250 watts continuously. And Vangelis like, you're going to break, I was going to get a PR. And I just said, I can't talk right now. Just leave me alone. just let me go. But, those are kind of some of the fun stories of kind of how I got into it. But back to your original question of how do you tell? The easiest way to tell is really when you taste it. If you don't get a hit in the back of your mouth, like that spiciness, it doesn't have any phenols. The other thing to understand is once you open a good bottle of olive oil, 90 days until it goes bad. So basically, once you open that bottle, that phenol count, because the oxidation, it starts going down. Now you can push that out to 6 months if you put it in the refrigerator. But if you put it in the refrigerator,
olive oil in a fridge,
you've gotta and in fact, when you talk to these professors from the University of Athens, they've got these crazy high phenolic olive oils that they're almost medicinal. They have like 2,000 milligrams. I mean, this stuff is strong. I have some here at the house.
Send me some. I'll take some.
It's really strong. They keep it almost like wine in a 4-degree, like it's in a wine cooler. That's how they store it. So there's this whole world of olive oil. I had no idea, and I kind of just fell into this and found a way. Like, okay, I work with firefighters. How do I get these guys to be healthier? What can I do to help them? And so I reluctantly started the supplement company. That's the story.
So the thing is, Aria, just pop into Hy-Vee next time you got some time. Just pop open all the olive oils. Just take a little sip, and if it doesn't kick you in the face, it's not good. It's not good.
Hy-Vee doesn't have, so I got into the whole olive oil thing, and I've been trying to find the best olive oils, that claim to be the real deal. And as you go up in price a little bit, you get to see the difference. And man, like just putting a piece of sourdough or something like that, absolutely, you could tell from some store-bought olive oil to the high-end stuff. You could tell the difference without a doubt. You could almost drink the real stuff. You just taste that much better.
So Pete, are we cooking with your oil, or is it purely supplemental?
No, you can cook with our oil. And so I had they had done some tests at the University of Kalamata, this particular olive oil, to see the smoke point. And I had Brian at Smash. He's a local chef here at a pizza Italian place. He gets his olive oil from Italy, and his olive oil is high quality. He has one that's kind of just light grade. So it's from the second pressing. Does that make sense? So it's not extra virgin, it's just virgin. And then he has EVO, extra virgin, meaning that it's from the first press. You generally always want extra virgin. That means it's from the first press and it's not cut with anything. And what he did is he did smoke points, and our olive oil, it tested at 410 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can definitely cook.
Oh, wow. So high heat.
It's high heat, which is not what we don't make that claim, but it's like one of those things where absolutely you can cook with it. The other interesting thing is there were nutritionists from the University of Crete, and they did a study where they looked at just raw olive oil and vegetables. And by using the high phenolic olive oil, any high phenolic olive oil, right? It basically enhanced the nutritional value of, say, broccoli. It allowed you to absorb the nutrients better, which I thought was really interesting. That's not something I would have ever thought of or knew. There's just so much science behind it that I can't talk about it all. That's why I got the website, and I'm just trying to be an honest adjudicator of a place for people to kind of get educated. Now there is another really good olive oil that I like.
So is this right here is this the one that you're selling for your website?
Yes. Yep. That's the one, and I got it right here. Yep. Okay. That's the one right here. So the other thing, our olive oil, it's expensive because the gentleman that we have that does this, he was a mathematician by trade, was in the Greek military, he was in the Air Force, and he wrote programs for war simulations. Somehow out of that, he's from Kalamata, Greece. His family were olive growers. And so he ended up coming back to become an olive grower. So he's just always tinkering and doing things. He invented this like handheld HPLC, which he uses to test in the field. He knows where the fields are in Greece that produce the highest phenolic olive oil. And so what he did is he went around, he's testing as they're like coming, like pressing to find out which ones are the highest, and then picking to basically get the highest phenolic content. So it's a bit labor intensive, but I'm trying to apply as much science as I can to make sure what I'm giving, what the quality is what I want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's worthwhile, requires some extra work. It becomes easy, That's why I'm fast, because I work hard to train on the bike. So that makes sense.
So if you're going to take the supplement, the pill, is that like 2 a day, 1 a day, or
Yeah, 2 a day. So the pill, the way I explain the pill is there's a whole list of phenols, right? So generally people just say polyphenols, right? But 2 of the big ones are olecanthal and olecansin, right? And so basically you kind of dose on the olecanthal, basically 5 milligrams. And so that's kind of what they use to make the European health claim. So what they recommend is 5 milligrams a day. So I generally take 1 capsule. Sometimes I'll take 2. Like if I've got, I don't know, let's say I've done a long bike ride, 100 miles, and my knee's bugging me, I'll pop 4 or even 5. And it definitely helps. And I don't have to take ibuprofen. It works for me. Doesn't work for everyone, but for me, it works.
Zoran seems to like it, and so
yeah, and I mean,
giving good feedback.
You've got to see what works for you, and see if it makes sense. But I think it's a good thing to add to your supplement regime. We did. I was talking with Graham earlier. The feed just placed an order. So we're going to be working with them. So we're going to do a whole education piece with them, because what I like about the feed is they don't just, put something out there. Like, this is something that requires, I think, education. And so we're going to kind of partner with them to try to roll it out in a way that, makes sense, so that people understand what it is, what the research is behind it, and, how it might benefit you.
Yeah.
That's a really good partnership. The feed, I do like, they almost curate the product on their website. So that's, you compare that to, like, let's say Amazon, where you just, if you can sell something, they'll let you sell it. It's like the feed actually has personal relationships with most of these companies that sell stuff on their website. So it's I like the personalization that and obviously them agreeing to go with you speaks volumes of your product. Someone seems to be interested in it.
Yeah, and I sent them like 10 bottles, and they had their, what I said is, look, if you guys don't find some benefit, then, I don't want you to just buy my product because you want to buy my product. You know what I mean? I'm like, if you think there's value, you let me know. And they called me back and they said our team definitely liked it. And the other interesting thing is I experimented with a combination, like last summer when I'm in Greece visiting family, I do like a lot of miles. I'll do like 200, 250 miles in a week with lots of climbing, and it's hot and it's Greek heat. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just hot. It's really hot.
Yeah.
And I tried playing with the ketones, with Ketone IQ. So I did a Ketone IQ chaser with 2 O-LIV, and then I, would go on like a 60 or 100 mile bike ride. But that's also with anywhere from 3,000 to 7,000 feet of elevation gain. And I definitely thought the combination of the two allowed me to push further before I needed like any type of food. And I also thought it helped me recover faster too. It was kind of interesting. So I was just kind of playing around. I told the feed guys to try that too. And one of their guys tried it and he's like, yeah, there's something with like he was still tinkering with like the how and the timing, but I think there's something there maybe with the ketones and the olive oil or something maybe.
So Pete, as you know, we're all endurance athletes here. Why should people care about inflammation or the lack of inflammation? Like, what are the benefits? You know, why should we focus on that, especially as we get older?
So I think being an athlete, you know, we're all worried about DJD, degenerative joint disease, right? So arthritis, and we know that a Mediterranean diet, when they look at like the Mediterranean diet in Italy and Greece, you know, the studies have been going on for 40, 50 years. We know that that particularly helps with slowing arthritis. So the high polyphenols in either the supplement or in, you know, a high polyphenolic olive oil should help slow down that degenerative process, and if not prevent it. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is really, you know, I was a runner up until I was, I'm trying to think, about 23 years ago. I got injured, and you know, my friend who's an orthopedic surgeon said, you know, do you have the 30,000, the 60,000, or 90,000 mile tire? We don't know. And so he said, just switch to biking, and that's what I did. The only time I ran was when I did my Army physical fitness test. You know, every 6 months you got to do your Army PT test, and I would run, and I do great. I do like a 6 minute and 30-second mile or 7 minute mile. I was fine, so I could run. And the cycling, I never looked back. I think you can cycle for a long time. It's just easier on your joints, but it's still overuse, you know, especially if you're climbing or if you're doing mountain biking. I mean, there's definitely shoulders, elbows, wrists. Yeah. I mean, your body can take a beating. So I think anything that helps you tamp down inflammation and prevent degeneration of joints, I think is a good thing. So what I always say too is the food is the medicine, not the other way.
Yeah, what's that saying, right? Eat your food as though it's your medicine. Otherwise, you'll eat your medicine as though it's your food.
Yeah.
Right. So it's especially for athletes, like if you go out there and abuse your body, you know, you ride 40, 50, 60 miles. I mean, that's a lot of stress. And then you just come back and eat crap. I feel like that definitely.
I maybe have an interesting question. People in Asia tend to live longer and stuff. That's not an olive oil place, is it?
No, great question. So when the Blue Zone guys looked at kind of like they had 5 areas they looked at, and one of them was Okinawa, Japan. And what they all had in common was that they were a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
And so they eat a lot of their vegetables. Actually, their particular, I think their sweet potato off the top of my head in Okinawa is filled with nutrients, but also natural flavonoids, which are also, if I'm remembering right, or I might be using the wrong term, but they also prevent inflammation. Mm-hmm. So I think the one thing that you can say across all 5 areas where they looked, it was Costa Rica, Loma Linda, California, Sardinia, Ikaria, and I'm forgetting the other one.
Iowa City.
Right. So, anyways, actually, sidebar, if you look on the Blue Zones, Iowa actually has like 10 cities that initially participated, because Dan and Nick, I thought these dudes were from California. No, they're Midwesterners. They're from Minneapolis. So
I got a glass of nitrates here, you know, that's what we got.
There you go. So I would say, I think a plant-based diet. So what I say, you know, 80% plant-based, 20% lean protein. So chicken, fish, turkey, those type of things. And then red meat is almost like a dessert. Red meat's at the top of the pyramid, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. There's also another good Netflix series called Game Changers. I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix. It basically talks about a plant-based diet. They've got Arnold Schwarzenegger and some other sports stars, but they had these 3 NFL linebackers, and they gave the one steak burrito, the other a chicken burrito, and then the other rice, beans, and cheese. And then they spun their blood down about 2-3 hours after they ate. So, have you seen that? The one that ate the steak burrito is like dark yellow. You cannot see through it.
Yeah.
The chicken is kind of like a light, clear yellow. And then the one who ate the vegetarian burrito, the beans, rice, and cheese, his is perfectly clear.
Yeah.
And like, that's really right. That's inflammation. I also think of when I was in college, we're going back many years. We'd gone out and ate like, I don't know, 30 wings the night before. And then the lab I was working in, they needed like a control. So you normally just draw your own blood, you spin it down, and you use that as the control for the experiment. And my buddy and I, we spun down our blood, and there was this thick layer of just yellow globular stuff. And after I saw that, I'm like, okay, like I didn't eat bone-in chicken wings pretty much hardly ever again after that.
All you've done is just make me really just feel bad about all the things that I love to eat. Like,
so
well, you can still have some, Graham. I'm not going to give up baby back ribs.
To make you feel better, I went to the golf place here last night with my daughter and her husband, and we had boneless chicken wings. So
did you drizzle it with your olive oil?
They're just
I did not. I jokingly, my daughter made fun of me, and she says, "Did you bring some olive oil?" I'm like, "No."
You got BYOO. Bring your own olive oil.
BYO. I mean,
boneless are definitely easier to eat.
What I always say is the enemy of good, or the enemy of good is perfect. You do not have to be perfect.
Correct.
And so what I always say is you've got to probably stick to your diet 80% of the time, meaning 5 out of 7 days a week. That's what I'm trying to say.
And at the end of the day, I think people need to remember it's like you can't be 100% perfect. You gotta enjoy life a little bit, right? Everything with moderation. So it's like we have this one body. You take care of the best you can, but still leave some room for some excitement when that arises.
So antioxidants is what you want. You want an antioxidant, and you can find those in other things like blueberries are antioxidants, right?
Yeah. So berries are great. Blueberries, raspberries,
chocolate.
Dark chocolate is excellent. Yeah, all those things. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of food, and the sad thing is the average physician maybe only gets 8 to 16 hours, like in one semester of med school, of nutrition. Everything else I've learned on my own was through my master's in public health that the Army sent me to go get at Hopkins, or reading on my own or attending conferences. So I've gotten better with the nutrition part, but the one thing I think of is I've had pretty good success of helping people with their diet before trying medication. There's 5 genetic types kind of for cholesterol. And if you're type 4 or 5, you're probably going to need medication. Like, it's just not going to work, with the diet piece. But the majority of the population, it's really the diet and what we eat. Like it's trying to help people find what it is you're eating and then replacing it. I think the number one thing I would say for anyone is a registered dietitian. It's so funny in Europe, like in Greece or Italy or even France or some of the other countries, the docs will send you to a registered dietitian that they have their own practice. So like dietitians are standalone, like you have PTs or whatever. Dietitians basically see people, and that's part of the insurance structure. You don't have to be diabetic. You could just want to lose 5 pounds. You want to lose 10 pounds. You're an athlete. You want to train for whatever you want to train. The system allows you to go see a dietitian, which I think is amazing. That's the first thing. I meet a lot of people that are pre-diabetic or diabetic, and sometimes you have to control their risk and you do have to put them on medications or things. But what amazes me is 50% of the time, like the first thing I do when I find someone that's diabetic, I send them to a dietitian.
Yeah.
Because they just don't know what they're eating. Like, how do you count carbs?
It is tough though.
It is. It's hard to eat healthy.
Yeah. Well,
I think more than that is that it's hard to eat healthy, but it's also hard to feel like you need to eat healthy in this country because there are so many, our medical system is set up into a way which is dig yourself into a hole, go to the doctor, and then we're just going to put you on a wide regimen of meds and try to cope with some of these symptoms that you've kind of created yourself. And that's primarily, I think, because like there are studies to show that it does decrease or increase whatever number that you're trying to work on effectively. But the fact of the matter is just like you're saying, Pete, is if you do the systemic work on the front end and build a solid foundation that's nutritionally sound, then you don't need the marginal gains that the medicines actually help you. You can actually do well. I mean, unless you're genetically predisposed and to be that way. But I just feel like people rely on medicine here too much.
Well, yeah. I was going to say on the website, I think they didn't say it was my business, but my business partner, she looks great, but she has a story of her own to tell. When we started working together in January 2015, she was probably 200 pounds overweight, somewhere around there. And she slowly lost that weight over a 7-year period to where she lost it. She would plateau and lose. But it took her 7 years, and everybody assumes that she got gastric bypass. She did not get gastric bypass. She did it slow and steady by like making incremental change. And I think that's the thing where people, I think, can get overwhelmed, especially as a doc. I think we're guilty of, giving a person this long laundry list. And what I always say is, I have one thing to pick. And so I always pick butter to olive oil, get 7 to 8 hours sleep, drink enough water a day. You can do 3, but you really can't do any more than that. And I even think 3 is a lot because I think people are busy, they're stressed. It's hard to be healthy, but I also think people aren't kind to themselves. Be as kind to yourself as you are to others. It's incremental change. It takes time to succeed, and small wins lead to big wins. I just think of when I started cycling 20 something years ago, I thought, wow, 16 miles per hour was fast. And now, I'm thinking like, if I can do 28 on a flat, so, that's double, but that was over a year period. Crawl, walk, run, you've got to just be incremental and just be positive.
Absolutely. Awesome.
So we have we do. I do have a friend. Aria knows them, Nick and Becky.
Yeah.
So they do. Dick's a dietitian, and they do work with people that have had the bariatric surgery on how to get their diet to work well for them. And these are people that have had the surgery and then want to then compete and do, half marathons or cycling challenges and stuff with a smaller stomach, and how to get the right amount of food and to do these things. So,
wow.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
Yeah, that sounds like it. It's yikes. Yeah.
Nick says a lot of the same thing, do the best you can. Don't tell yourself you can't have something, just, don't have that something every day,
Ground butter.
Yeah.
Ground, like we in the South. That's all. That's it.
Graham,
Pete, I'll send you Jason and I's address. Graham doesn't need an olive oil.
No problem. Send me your address and I'll send it to you guys.
Yeah, they see him with those bottles at his door. He'll be out of there. He'll be trying to stay at my house.
So Lindsay's pretty conscious about the food that we eat and stuff. So the butter that we use is it's an Irish butter. Comes in a yellow or a green package. I don't know what it's called, but it's supposed
Kerrygold. It's Kerrygold. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what we use. So I do olive oil with my egg. I cook my eggs in olive oil, and then I put a little of the butter on the toast.
Totally fine. And actually, that's last night. That's what I did. Kerrygold. That's what I did it. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm a purist. I mean, I'm not like totally olive oil. Like, I'll tell you, I cannot get there's no butter in Greece. There's only olive oil, but that's kind of like how it is. But you can get butter in other places in Greece, like if you're near cows. They just don't have a lot of cows, depending on what island you're on or where you're at. It's one of those things. But Kerrygold's great because I think the butter too makes a difference. What you feed the cows. You know, they actually, so funny story. They did a study to try to feed cows in Kalamata. This is the University of Kalamata in Greece, where you get your Kalamata olives from. After you throw, like you're done harvesting the olives, you get the pits. The pits actually, you grind them down and you can use them as feed. Or also you can boil the leaves and then grind them down. Well, they fed them to the cows. And they said, okay, well, if we feed the cows, let's make butter. Let's see if there's any polyphenols in them. So they fed them, and the butter had some polyphenols in it. Like it had
wow,
amounts of it. So isn't that like, you gotta love the Greeks. They like how can we like figure this out? They're really good at doing research. They're just not really good at like how do you take this to market? How do you get it to?
Well, it sounds pretty similar for a lot of things over there in Greece.
Awesome.
We won't go there. But
So
go ahead.
We'll put Pete's link in the description for your website so that people can check you out.
You bet.
You know,
How many polyphenols are in a 3 blue cheese olive martini, dirty martini?
None. But I'm sure it's delicious.
Yeah.
Heart attack.
Jason, awesome. My goodness.
I love
it. Pete, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool to see people like taking what they're passionate about, taking some of their culture and personal experience and making it happen. So we are super happy to have you on, man.
You bet. Thanks for having me, guys, and get me your addresses and I'll get you guys some bottles.
Yeah. And everyone go out and take a look. I think Ariel put it in the show notes how to follow Pete. You're on Instagram. I think I've seen some of that
on Instagram, and we're on TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah. So let's blow them up a little bit and get them a chance to make those guys at the feed to bring them to market. And then you guys will say you know them way back when.
For sure.
We'll see. All right.
Yeah, we just Pete, if there's any other contacts that you want us to put in the show notes, just send them to me and I'll add them before we end.
You got it
here.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, sir. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Take care. Nice meeting you. Take care.
All right. Man, that was cool.
I'm gonna try some of those supplements.
Well, we're gonna get some. I'll
mix it with my butter.
It's funny. So I made eggs. So I always do olive oil with my eggs, my scrambled eggs. I made eggs with butter for the first time ever. I never made eggs with butter, and I can see why it's probably not a good thing to eat eggs with butter all the time. It was so delicious.
Everybody says it makes it fluffier.
Yeah.
Oh, the trick to make your eggs fluffy is a little bit of creamer.
Yeah.
When you scramble it, that fluffs them right up there.
So I did butter and I added a little bit of cream cheese, like a dollar pulver in there. And the flavor was crazy. So I'm like, but this is definitely not something you want to eat every day, but it was absolutely fantastic. I see why.
My 2.5-year-old daughter, every day, I feel like I'm going to kill her. She's going to have a heart attack for sure. Every day I make her like 2 eggs. And if there's bacon in the house, she like sniffs it out of the fridge and I've got to make her bacon. It's insane. That girl can eat a bigger breakfast than I can as a grown man. It's wild.
That's all I eat every day. 2 eggs.
Jason loves bacon.
Eggs and bacon. That's what
I don't do the bacon. It's 2 eggs and toast. 2 eggs.
Remember when we did that when a couple times you had your breakfast at your house?
Yeah.
Before we went out and right, you had pancakes and
chocolate chip pancakes.
Yeah, and bacon and eggs. He was treating us, Graham.
I'm pretty good at breakfast.
He was buying. He was buying for everybody.
I'm pretty good at breakfast. Yeah, I had to go to work that day. You guys went and rode and had fun. I went to work.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
Baker was cracking the whip.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk a little bit of cycling. Have you guys? There's a lot going on in the professional cycling world. Have you guys followed
the Giro?
Anything? The Giro, the Vuelta Femenina. some crazy stuff has happened. I could run down my maybe top 4.
I saw a little of the
funnest
Giro.
moments.
I saw a little of the Giro yesterday.
Did you see the goat? Did you see the goat attack?
No, I missed that.
That was the best part.
Well, yeah, I think I saw the highlight.
Not Pogacar, not the goat, but an actual goat.
Which one?
He was a little goat. Little goat ran out and attacked this poor little Belgian guy on Intermarché Wanty. Just kind of tried to like check him off the road, ran him off the road. So like goats ran out. Yeah, like a little goat, like a
I gotta find it.
Goat. Yeah, I gotta go look for this. There was a goat. There was a dog. What else was there?
We got our co-host over here. You want to say hi to the podcast people?
Who we got? The famous. Oh my gosh, we're blessed with a celebrity.
Yeah.
Yvonne, what you got there, Yvonne?
I don't know.
You can't show that on camera.
He sends me to get stuff and it's like, get whatever. And I'm like, I don't know.
I would trust you.
You can't show it on camera.
You can't see it. Oh. You gotta hold it a certain way.
Yeah. So Wout got second.
Wout, man, I think Wout is forever the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Dude, I was thinking about that. It has to be so frustrating with
honestly, here's my opinion on Wout. Wout is probably one of my favorite athletes in the world in any sport. And I say that not because of his performances, and it's because like he has managed to still be an incredible cyclist. He's got 2 kids, really takes care of his wife, but like the amount of pressure that guy shoulders from the Belgian media and the expectations that they put on him, and for him to still come back day after day and like put it all out there while still being a good dad. Like there are tons of like, well, I don't know for a fact, but I imagine the pro cyclist lifestyle, mom or dad takes you away from your family all the time. And like, I see his family at races. I see him going home between races more than anyone and still performing at a high level. So like, dude, the guy is amazing. He's 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I'm sorry that there are genetic mutants in the name of like Matthew Van Der Poel and Tadej Pogacar and those guys. But like, I feel bad for Wout, but man, what a good guy. Like I can't, he's such a good guy.
Yeah, because as soon as Van Der Poel shows up, he's going to be second. Except, when they're doing cyclocross, then sometimes, well, I feel like last year, not
anymore. I mean, call it what it is. The Wout Matthew Van Der Poel rivalry is no longer a rivalry.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's fine. That's okay. We'll come to terms with it. But yeah, it was kind of sad that he didn't win. But hey, did you guys watch any of the women's Vuelta a España, like the Vuelta Femenina? Did you guys watch any of that?
I watched highlights of it.
Did you hear about what happened in the team time trial?
Is that where they were late, right?
Yeah, so Movistar, Spanish team showed up. So everyone's bike has to be checked. The UCI, which is like the governing body, they have to make sure that these bikes are all within a certain standard geometry and they don't violate that to give the team a competitive advantage. And so they check bikes before, after, during races. They do all these things. And so the team time trial, these are the most advanced machines, right? Like, there's probably, if you're going to push the limits, that's probably where you're going to do it. So Movistar, this team from Spain, shows up late to have their bikes checked. And so then that put the bike checkers behind. And so then they got a late start. So instead of adjusting the schedule for each of these teams to go off at their set time, they just kept the same schedule, which means the teams that happened after Movistar, who was late, were showing up. The first team showed up with like 15 seconds left to go. Their last rider came up to the ramp and they all went down. The next team, I think 2 of them were just a little bit late. And then when Jumbo Visma came up, which is like one of the biggest teams in the world, they had 2 riders that didn't even start with the team and they tried to chase on and they got dropped. And basically like it was all because of one team showing up late and then the governing body not adjusting it for anyone else.
How does that happen?
I know
it's crazy. Like,
how does that happen?
What I was thinking, Joe. Like,
seriously, is that just like?
I don't. I mean, the thing is, though. I mean, if you look back over the last, even the last 5 years, like what what was it, I don't know if it was the Giro or the Vuelta last year or the year before, where it was a team time trial to start for the men, and they started late in the day, and they knew that they were going to start too late to where the last teams were going to be going off in the dark. It was pouring down rain, and these last teams literally rode in time trial, like team time trials on aero bars, like in the dark through the pouring rain through a city time trial, and it was the sketchiest thing ever. And the organization was just like, you know, it happens. It happens. Like,
no, some of that, like for me, where those bike checks were late, that's not okay. Like,
yeah,
you can't miss that many teams.
Dude,
Movistar gets a 5-second penalty.
Oh, they got no, even better. They got fined, I think, 200 Swiss francs for each rider. That was it.
You can't fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly. They should have had a penalty because it caused a penalty for the other teams.
Yeah,
it's just a joke. Like, you know, I mean, for me, I'm going to be very Europeanist here, but it just seems like it's a bunch of, oh, the goats. Sorry, forget this. Let's watch the goats.
I want to show you guys this.
Ah! He took him out.
That goat was ready to kill somebody.
It's pretty good. It's not as bad. If you want to look up another clip, Aria, if we're going to talk about animal interference, look up the horse that joined the race. I don't know. It was back in the 90s. I think it was like a French race. And dude, you talk about your life or hitting your max watts and max sprint. You'll see some of these guys put down power numbers they've never put down because they're getting chased down by a Clydesdale. Anyway,
I'll be out of there too.
You look at that. We'll come back to a lighter note, but I'm still a little pissed off about like how the UCI does things for cyclists.
Why are they filming this on a freaking toaster? Look how shaky that footage is. Oh, there it is. Is this it?
Well, you seem to be enjoying it. We can't see it. Oh no, that's it. I don't know. That might be the same one. Start it over.
I feel like there's one that was.
There's one from a helicopter that you can see. I think it's I can't point to it. It's like the.
Yeah, there's one that came out of like a fence, right?
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah, this is the one. Oh yeah. I just watch some of the faces on these guys when they see a horse behind them.
And it's in the peloton.
Yeah, these guys are hitting their max watts that they've ever done.
You don't want to get trouble. Look at that guy sprinting in the front. Ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess like the whole theme though is like safety for pro riders seems to be safety and like standards for pro riders is kind of thrown out the window. It makes me appreciate events that are put on very well in which there are, you know, safe aspects and they actually care about the people that that are participating in their events. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I didn't like that, but you know, I think the Vuelta Femenina like was pretty awesome how it ended up. You had, I don't know if you guys follow women's cycling much, but like Anna van der Breggen, she was really, really good for a long time. She's 37, I think now, or 30. Yeah, I think she is 37. She's a little older than me, but she retired, was in the sport, became a director, sitting in the car talking to the riders. Clearly went insane sitting in the car watching the riders and decided to come out of retirement. So she came back out of retirement and took a pretty good effort to take down Demi Vollering, and I think she definitely podiumed. I don't know if she got second or third, but yeah, it was a good race. You guys, I would encourage anyone who has some time on their hands to go back and watch some of the highlights there. They were really good. But
freaking cool. Did you guys see that new TRP drivetrain that's they're collaborating with Classified 15 speed? Yeah, but the rare cassette is only a 1033, but the hub also has internal shifting that gives you like an extra 3 ratios or something like that. Pretty cool.
Is this what you're talking about on like that they're putting on some of the TT bikes?
They might be. They might.
Where you can run like a huge like 60-tooth chainring up front and then a small like 34. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
It has internal gearing and it gives you an extra range.
Yeah.
But it's only 1x, you know.
Yeah. It's 1x, but it gives you the range of like some crazy amount. I've seen it on a few of the men's TT setups like Ineos. If you look up
Yeah,
Ineos
it's
Grenadiers,
electronic.
they've
You know?
done it. Yeah, yeah.
So Jason would be like, no.
Roll-Off is now has an electronic.
They do.
Yep.
Wow. So how is that working? What's the technology behind that?
I think it's similar to kind of like what the Pinion is doing.
Oh,
Like the gearbox.
They've got like a push-pull thing back there.
interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. I do like. I
think
honestly think my next bike is going to have like a belt drive.
yeah.
I think it's the
You
way
know?
to go. I think things are going that way. I mean, like, especially you're seeing it more and more in the downhill scene.
Yeah, which
like,
makes sense, right?
yeah, which totally makes sense. Like, I mean, you're not shifting that much in the first place. You don't
Well,
need a huge
yeah.
wide range. You just need durability. But
So I built a downhill bike this week.
Oh.
A Pivot
Is-
Phoenix. It's like, I don't know, 180 boxer front end, like
Jesus.
Big boy.
160 in the back. It was
Holy-
the wildest thing. Yeah, it was like a really nice bike. We're trying to set the suspension up, and you know, Angelo, the other mechanic, he's like holding the front and the handlebars stuff. He's like, bounce on this front fork, and I got a video of me bouncing up and down this bike, trying
That's
to bury
amazing.
the fork. You know, it was fun.
I
imagine
really
that.
want a downhill bike. I would just love to have a park bike. Like, I rode my friend's Slash the other day, and it was amazing. Like riding down some of the downhills that I've done before.
Whoa.
Oh, Aria, right on cue.
Yeah,
I'm still
cue.
here.
Graham, you know, I rode this bike around just the alley trying to get a sense of how it felt and stuff. I couldn't imagine riding it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and I feel the same way. If you're riding it on the flats around just like normal terrain, like no way. The only way I would say that if you don't have anywhere downhill to ride it, go find yourself a flight of steps.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking. Like a double landing flight of steps.
Yep.
And you'll think you're the best rider in the world because it'll just glide right over it. Like it's amazing what those bikes can do. But you got to put it to the terrain.
I get it.
Stay planet.
What's
Yeah.
that? What do you say?
No, I was saying those like with the long travel like that, they stay planted so well.
Yeah, they really do.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, but I don't know that I want to ride one, you know. I mean, this one had it had the sprocket, the chain ring, and then another chain ring. So
Yes.
Yeah.
like-
yeah.
So I've seen those. What's the benefit of that? Or is that just another?
it's all travel with the swing arm.
It's
okay.
travel the swing arm, and then I think like a lot of what the goal is when your swing arm comes up in the back on a lot of those downhill bikes. If you think about how a bike's set up, like the swing arm comes up and it almost shortens your overall wheelbase, which
The
is
chain
like,
slacks.
yeah. So your chain slacks and it also shortens your wheelbase. So like one thing like that I know Trek has done is with their Slash, the way their pivot is set up, it actually the wheel when it compress or pivots in the back, it actually extends almost backwards. So you actually maintain your wheelbase, which ultimately gives you more traction and control on your back wheel as you're going down, as opposed to if it comes straight up, it shortens it and pushes you forward. So I think that's the kind of idea behind some of these new downhill bikes in the way that they pivot. You won't be able to see it in the stills, but like if you think about how that bike pivots, you don't want it to go straight up. You want it to kind of go out, so you maintain.
Is the Slash more? The Slash is more of an enduro bike.
Enduro, but you don't want to pedal that bike. I mean, they're putting transmission on it. Like it's a park bike, it's a shuttle bike.
Yeah.
Like the Slash Plus, now that is a cool bike because it's got like I think a 350 watt-hour motor in it.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty light, especially if you end up with like one of the carbon versions of it. But I mean, I've ridden the Slash, and the Slash is a fun bike, but the Slash Plus, I mean, it's been rated top e-mountain bike I think 2 years in a row now, it's the best e-mountain bike. The only problem with is the battery life. You don't really get that much time out of it, but
well, this thing is heavy, probably. That's why it's up all the butter.
Yeah, like if you go big with like the rail or like a Heckler or something,
it's like a motorcycle, you know. It's like a dirt bike, you know. You get the same wheel sizes, same traveling stuff, and you know, when you're going downhill, they're great, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being one of those and taking it to Colorado and just descend like a beast.
That's the thing is if you live at a bike park, if you live in a place where you have a shuttle, like we have places around here that you can shuttle, so they're pretty popular, but it's just you need to have that type of terrain or else like
not Iowa City.
No? Trash Mountain. What's that place in Cedar Rapids?
Yeah. Mount Trashmore.
Yeah.
Mount Trashmore. Yeah. Plant your flag up there.
Yeah, I mean you could ride a freaking gravel bike down that trail.
I have ridden my gravel bike down that trail. I jumped my gravel bike on that trail.
Yeah, it
was sketchy.
Definitely, you don't need a trick slash. I would take a trick slash though. You know,
of course, offer me one. I'll take it. I'm not going to say no to it. I probably won't pedal it very often. You just got to have good See the slash and those bikes. Those are for social people. We are gravel riders. Yeah. We start mass events and then we ride by ourselves for like 7 hours. That's what we
right.
do. Social riders, they do this thing where they hang out and they like you know talk to each other and they ride together. It's a crazy concept.
We don't do that.
It's a crazy concept for most of us out here.
Yeah, we're battling the wind. We got no time to sit around and sit up.
No way. I got to suffer by myself, starving and thirsty and dehydrated and sunburnt for 7 hours. That's what
so. I will say my electronic update here is, you know, I'm liking the transmission. I still don't have the thumb lever in the right spot. I'm still trying to find.
I had to play with that for a while too.
For that. But man, I took it up the mountain the other day, and I'm just ripping trails like I used to.
Yeah.
Still have not connected my dropper.
I'm not gonna ask anymore, so it's okay. I just given up.
Why didn't you just get an Axis dropper?
I don't know. It didn't come with it.
Just get an Axis dropper and be done with it. You know,
I might.
Just throw it in there. You know, shop discount.
Yeah.
And then you can go.
I feel like the dropper's too tall. I might. That's why one of the reasons I haven't connected it yet is because I'm like thinking about maybe swapping it out.
What dropper did it come with? Like a 120, 130? What did it come with?
I don't even know. It's tall. I got the seat post buried and it's fully extended.
Tall. Yeah,
it's fully extended and it is right at like it might be a little too tall.
But I mean, if that's the case, you need to swap it out because like it's going to be miserable. I rode with the dropper like that for a long time, and I would just like set my seat height every time I raised my dropper, and it was not good.
No, it feels like it's at almost the perfect height, if not the perfect height.
Yeah,
but if it needs to go down a little bit, then I'm screwed.
Yeah. So. Is the Fox Transfer, is that the super lightweight dropper where it's either up or down? There's no in between,
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know if it's an in between.
Because the Transfer is like, it's known for its lightweight. So
lightweight, and it's either up or it's down. Like that's the nice thing about like the Reverb is that you can set it a little bit and like, you know, which not that you're doing that a whole lot, but I don't know. Sometimes
when you're hanging out on the side of the trail.
Hey, yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I use my dropper for that more than I use it for anything else. Or if I got my daughter sitting on the front of my bike, like we come up to like a traffic light, like I just drop that thing down and then
good to go. I took Don Thompson down to we rode 40 miles yesterday.
Nice.
And we went over the spillway.
I've never done that. I always wanted to do it. Did you have to hike? You have to hike a bike, right?
Oh yeah, you got scaled about 20 foot rock face.
You couldn't just like jump your bike up it like Sven Nice style.
No, well, you probably could. No, you can't rock.
No,
it's steps, steps.
Yeah, it's definitely like
I expect.
So I took we swapped bikes and he had an e-bike. He was running a gravel e-bike. So it was interesting getting that over there. And of course, Saturday, like around maybe 11, all the sunbathers were out there.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting out of your way.
All those Iowa City nudists out there.
Yeah,
just,
that's where they hide. It's like behind that rock there. It's like, what the heck? There's beaches here, guys. Why are we? I thought we're catching fish here, but trying to get that e-bike over, because there's 3 steps, I want to say.
Yeah.
Each one is like 5.5 feet, high. So you get up that, and then there's not a whole lot of footing. You get your bike up there, but there's not a whole lot of room for the bike to sit. And then you scale the other one, and then it's probably 30 feet of like a little trail that's all uphill. But it was fun though. You have to get your feet wet though. We got our feet wet.
Yeah. How was it? Was it deep, the water cutting across there?
Maybe a foot. So not bad. I've seen it worse.
The last time I did that, I was with somebody, but I had I think I might have been alone, but I had my sealskin socks on.
I think you told me about this.
And it was like 40 degrees out, and I stepped through that with my sealskin socks.
No problems.
Nothing. My feet were sweating on the way home,
Those sealskin stuff is pretty good. We have a set of gloves, and let's see here if I can find it.
I got the gloves and the socks, and it's almost.
Yeah, I've been happy with their stuff. Like, to be honest, let's see here. We have some gloves that have been really good. This is not it.
If you don't want your hands and feet to get wet, boom, done. You're not going to.
Are we talking about cold weather gear?
Sealskin socks.
Yeah. I'm glad I stepped away. I don't deal with cold weather anymore.
Yeah, dude. Put these sealskin socks and gloves on. Your feet, they don't get cold.
I'm a fair weather rider now, man. It's like if it's not 50 degrees and no wind, and I'm probably sending it in, going to the gym.
So Graham, do you? I guess what's the temperature there like in the winter? When is the bone cold down here?
It gets really cold. Like every once in a while, it gets down to like 20 degrees. Actually, this year we had like
20 degrees.
We had like a 2-week stretch where it was down in the single digits, and God knows we thought we were all going to die down here. It's amazing how soft I went. Like I went from surviving Iowa to I'm back in Tennessee, and I've gone soft now. But
did you almost
honestly,
run out
like the cold in Iowa? Paper? The cold in Iowa sucks, but you get used to it. You do something like cross country ski or something, but it's the spring. I mean, and the summer. Like look at Urea right now, overheating. It's already it's too hot, but. Yeah, it's the spring. I just remember being in Iowa and looking on like social media and all my friends in April, March, or it's the first lake day. It's our first time to go out and sunbathe, and it's still 30 degrees, and that's where it gets.
North Carolina, we get down to 40s, and for a couple of weeks in Christmas and January-ish, it would get down to 30s. Couple times it would get to literally a couple of times it would get to 20 or below for like a night or something. Maybe a couple of nights.
But you can deal with that. It's not bad.
No,
and you get snow and then it melts away.
Yeah,
it's gone. Like no big deal.
It was fun when we were moving. Like the 2 days that we moved out of North Carolina were like the 2 days that it got snow. This year, and it dumped on us too. We got like 4 inches overnight.
Yeah, we got a 6-inch snow here this year. It was pretty cool, actually.
It was gone by noon.
Yeah, I caught the most flack from my wife about anything this year than it was that snow, because we moved from Iowa. I got rid of the snowblower, and she's like, "Let's keep our snow shovel," and I'm like, "Why in the hell are we going to keep a snow shovel in Tennessee?" And she's like, "Who knows? It might snow." And I'm like, "It will never snow enough for us to need a snow shovel." Yeah. What happens?
Sure shit. Yep.
I'm out there shoveling snow, wet snow, and she's just laughing at me. She still does.
You'll never win another argument after that.
I'll win. or I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
done.
I'll tell you I won. I never win, but I'll tell you.
So here's my plan. Like, I still use a shovel, but our neighbors live for the winter, so I'll do the sidewalk also. But I think what I want to get like one of those John Deere gators,
Yeah.
throw like a blade on
Put a
there.
plow on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
You're
That's
you're
how I want
becoming
to
a
do it.
Midwestern dad, man. You're just you got it nailed.
I'll do the whole sidewalk from.
Now that's honestly the key. Like living in the Midwest I lived there for 3 years, but the key is to find the dad in the neighborhood that shovels. Like there's always one, and they love to shovel or they love to use their snowblower, and you just compliment them. You tell them, man, what is that, a 4-stroke Hoover Doover? And they're like, yeah, it's amazing. And I'm like, you should shovel my driveway.
My neighbor in Iowa City, the one across the road, had a snowblower.
Oh yes,
and my other neighbor too. I just
it's a badge of
a little
honor.
bit. The one neighbor, he'd go around the block. He just liked running his snowblower.
They get up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It got to the point where it just lulled me back to sleep. I'd wake up and I'd hear that snowblower going. I'd be like, sweet.
Hey, it's working. Not gonna have to do. You know.
My neighbors across the road, they said, "Oh, we're going to Florida for a month or so. Watch the house for us. You can use the snowblower as much as you want. Don't you know? It barely snowed after they left.
Of course.
we didn't even get a dusting. You know, I was out there with the leaf blowers.
That's how it goes. Yeah, I don't miss that. I don't miss it. It's nice to be back down here where the weather's good. Not a whole lot of tornadoes either. So, of course, you guys haven't had much bad weather up there this year, which has been nice.
No. Yeah. Well, sure. We ran a little bit late here, so maybe we'll talk about the tires in the next episode, huh?
Maybe we'll talk about bikes next time too.
Yeah,
a whole lot of bike stuff.
Bikes, tires.
All I know is I'm going to be rubbing olive oil all over me after this. That's all I know.
Hey, we're gonna be getting some of that olive oil, so we'll come back. Our skin will be looking so much better.
Be looking so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
I just love the olive oil. With like on the sourdough, like Asiago homemade loaf. Yvonne makes the bread here, and putting that on the olive oil, on the bread, it's just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially if it's a good olive oil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try it. We'll do, once we get it. We're gonna do a live taste test.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
We'll go that route.
Yeah.
And I want to start those supplements. I want to take those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd
Me
be
too.
sweet.
Dude, it's 54. I'm getting up in the morning, and I know everybody feels a little bit sore and stuff, but dude, it just feels like every day it's like sore, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just old. I'll just deal with it.
And I think that's the disappointing part, right? Is when you're active, right? You can actually, I feel like when you're active, you notice those changes more drastically because of, you're able to do 100 miles and wake up. Now you're like, oh man, I do 100 miles and I'm kind of destroyed a little bit longer than I hoped, right? So definitely finding those edges that are going to help us stay in the game much longer.
I do not want to use it as an excuse, and I'm not going to. I just, that's how I feel in the morning. I get up a little bit like, oh man, it takes you like 15, 20 minutes to, like get the kinks, and then you're good to go. And then, but
Graham doesn't know anything about that.
We do a little olive oil supplementation, and all of a sudden we'll be good to go.
Dude, I'm wondering,
Yeah,
I'm wondering. That would be pretty interesting to find.
I'm always up for stuff, and I think it's cool to see a friend of ours, taking a leap and making waves, like doing some cool stuff. So
and I think the simple fact that the feed picked him up, usually to me that's a good sign, because I get a lot of my chews from the feed and stuff. So I know that if you email the guys about anything or the girls, they usually are very good with giving you like responses, which is like, okay, these guys don't just sell stuff. They actually are passionate about the endurance fuel. So really stoked for Pete to be in that game. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool, guys. Well,
All right.
Hey, it's good seeing you guys.
yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Everybody go
Yeah,
ride this
Jason,
week.
why don't you close us out?
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Yeah, happy
Oh,
Mother's
yeah.
Day.
All you moms out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
two
Grandma,
mothers.
what did you get your wife for Mother's
Ooh,
Day?
I bought her a very nice hair dryer with a magnetic diffuser that goes on it.
Oh,
Whoa.
what does the magnetic diffuser do?
It's for curly hair.
Oh, yeah.
you know, it dries curly hair in a very fast way that maintains nice voluminous curls.
Nice.
And it's lightweight, so you know you can maneuver it around in the right way. And it's about all I know.
How do you know? How did you know that was what she wanted?
You know, I didn't, but I'm pretty good at functional gifts, man. So we dry my daughter's hair. I dry my daughter's hair and brush it out every night after her bath.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just, I felt like I was imposing on my wife's, like, her closet with her makeup stand and everything. And I was like, you know, let's move Emmy up to her bedroom and we'll take this hair dryer, which I also bought her that hair dryer earlier.
Yeah.
But I was a rookie back then. I didn't really understand women's hair. So I just got her a nice hair dryer that had good like Amazon reviews. But you know, I watch, I learn, I realize my mistakes, and
Yeah.
I upgrade. So I decided to get her a really nice hair dryer and
Nice.
let my daughter have the other one, so that way she can have her space, have her night. I can take my daughter and take the black eyes in a different room as she punches me and beats me up, and then everybody's happy. So
Hell
I did.
yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
That's cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll shut it down. Let's end the stream here.
Cool.
End the stream.
Go buy some O-Live olive oil.
Go buy some O-Live. Go ride